Imagine walking into a classroom in the year 1946. The teacher is at the blackboard, chalk in hand, explaining basic concepts of history or geography. He is a respected man with a university degree, but one who quietly struggles to pay his basic bills at the end of the month with a standard government salary. Now, look toward the back of the room, sitting in one of the very last desks. A skinny 16-year-old boy, wearing glasses with his hair disheveled, pretends to pay attention to the lecture while jotting down complex numbers in a small pocket notebook. His name is Warren Buffett. That teenager wasn't just killing time. He was managing a hidden logistical and commercial empire that, at that exact moment, was putting more money into his bank account each month than the combined salaries of several of the teachers trying to teach him how the world worked. While the school principal believed that success depended strictly on high grades and submission to the traditional educational system, Warren Buffett, before he was even old enough to vote, had already cracked the hidden logic of cash flow generation and asset multiplication. How did a high school kid manage to build a business network so efficient that it humiliated the earnings of the most educated adults in his community? Today, we are going to unearth the fascinating and little-known story of the teenage Warren Buffett. We will reveal the backstage of his secret newspaper and pinball machine empire, the anti-growth mindset he rejected, and the definitive financial lessons he used at age 16 to ensure he would never need a boss again in his life. Traditional schooling was designed to create excellent employees, but it rarely teaches the mindset necessary to build financial freedom. Warren Buffett realized this flaw in the system when he was still a high school student and decided to create his own rules of the game. If you want to understand how to break the traditional cycle of trading time for money and start thinking like the young oracle of Omaha, subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications. This is episode 12, The Teenage Empire. Most people know that Warren Buffett delivered newspapers in his childhood, but most do not understand the scale and logistical engineering of what he did at age 16. He wasn't just an ordinary delivery boy tossing a few newspapers onto sidewalks before heading to school. Warren turned newspaper delivery into a high-efficiency corporate operation. He subjected the city of Washington to a rigorous mapping process. He realized that if he combined competing newspaper delivery routes, the Washington Post and the Times-Herald, he could optimize walking times and dominate entire apartment buildings all at once. By age 16, Warren was personally managing 5 massive delivery routes, distributing over 500 newspapers every single day, without fail, rain or shine. He woke up at 4:30 a.m., organized his distribution logistics, finished his deliveries, and arrived at school before the first bell rang. But Buffett's true secret wasn't just hard work. It was customer value maximization. He noticed that people who bought newspapers also needed other products. So he started selling complimentary magazine subscriptions directly to the same customer base that already trusted his delivery service. He transformed a minimum wage activity into a local distribution monopoly. While his teachers spent their evenings grading exams, young Warren spent his late afternoons calculating the net profit margins of a customer network that never stopped growing. If the newspaper route was Buffett's cash flow engine, his secret pinball machine business was his first real glimpse into the power of passive income and wealth-generating assets. At 15 going on 16, he and his friend Don Danley had a brilliant and highly profitable idea. They bought a broken pinball machine for just $25. Being a pragmatist, Warren knew he didn't have the mechanical skills to fix it, but he knew how to recruit talent. His friend repaired the machine, making it look brand new. Now came Buffett's true masterstroke: market positioning negotiation. Warren went to the busiest local barbershop in town and made an irresistible proposal to the owner. "We have a machine that will entertain your customers while they wait in line. You don't have to pay anything for it. We install it here and split the coin profits 50-50. The barber accepted immediately. The business was a resounding success. Instead of spending the money that rolled in, Buffett immediately applied the logic of reinvested compound interest. He used the profits from the first machine to buy a second, then a third, then a fourth, until he had a network of pinball machines scattered across the best barbershops in Omaha and Washington under the trade name Wilson Coin Machine Company. Warren Buffett had created a system where money worked for him while he sat in a classroom watching his teacher's lessons. He didn't need to operate the machines. He just dropped by to collect the coins over the weekend. The contrast between Warren Buffett's financial reality and that of his educators was almost comical. In 1946, the average salary of a public school teacher in the United States hovered around $2,000 to $2,500 a year, which amounted to just over $150 to $200 a month. Young Warren, combining his profits from newspapers, magazine subscriptions, and the pinball network, was raking in an average of $175 a month, hitting much higher peaks during months of high circulation. He was, quite literally, making more money than the principal of the institution and most of the faculty. This reality check shattered the myth of traditional academic authority in Buffett's mind. He respected knowledge, but he realized very early on that academic titles do not necessarily translate into financial intelligence or personal freedom. He saw his teachers trapped in a cycle of scarcity and frustration, while he, at just 16, enjoyed total autonomy. He didn't need to ask for permission to prosper. He realized that school taught people to operate within existing structures, whereas the real secret to wealth was creating independent economic structures of your own. While other 16-year-olds spent all their time and social energy trying to impress their peers, buying expensive clothes, or getting caught up in teenage drama, Buffett was already applying the concept of radical energy focus and friction elimination. He wore extremely simple clothes, couldn't care less about high school social status, and reinvested practically every single penny left over from his operations. He understood that wealth is not measured by what you spend to show off to others, but rather by the number of assets you have working silently behind the scenes. While his classmates bought liabilities that lost value instantly, Warren used his accumulated capital to buy farmland. At age 16, he bought a 40-acre farm in Nebraska and hired a local tenant farmer to operate it through a profit-sharing partnership agreement. He turned the money from pinball coins and newspapers into productive physical land. This early maturity isolated him from the noise of social approval, allowing him to focus purely on the scalability of his net worth. Another crucial lesson Buffett extracted from his teenage empire was operational leverage through partnerships. In the pinball business, he provided the capital and positioning strategy, while his partner provided the technical maintenance skill. On the Nebraska farm, he provided the purchase capital, while the farmer provided the specialized labor and agricultural machinery. Warren discovered, before even hitting the age of majority, that you don't need to know how to do everything to own a highly profitable business. You just need to know how to identify competent people, align financial incentives fairly, and delegate execution with total trust. This is the exact same strategy he uses today at Berkshire Hathaway. He buys excellent companies, keeps the original managers at the helm, and simply allocates the generated capital to the best possible destinations. The 16-year-old was already operating exactly like the chairman of the world's largest financial conglomerate. The post-war era in the United States was marked by an explosion of consumerism. People wanted new cars, modern appliances, and luxurious suburban homes. The market stimulated reckless spending. But Warren Buffett went in the opposite direction, demonstrating impressive psychological resistance to the cultural pressures of his time. He viewed money through the lens of opportunity cost. To him, $1 spent on a futile whim today wasn't just $1 thrown away. It was the loss of $10 or $20 that same dollar could generate if properly reinvested at compound interest over the years. This cold, mathematical perspective allowed him to accumulate an astonishing sum of nearly $10,000 before finishing high school, the equivalent of more than $150,000 in today's inflation-adjusted terms. He did not flaunt his wealth. He drove a second-hand car that he used to inspect his routes and machines. He preferred the invisible power of bank liquidity over the temporary status of material ostentation. If we bring the logic of the 16-year-old Warren Buffett into today's landscape, we realize that the tools have changed, but the principles remain exactly the same. Today, young people have access to the internet, info product platforms, e-commerce, and digital channels. However, most fail because they chase immediate impact and quick validation on social media. They try to look rich before building the foundations of their wealth. Buffett did the opposite. He built a concrete foundation in the anonymity of cold Washington mornings and the corners of local barbershops. He proved that true wealth is built brick by brick, focusing on cash flow resilience and the real utility of the service provided. The modern investor needs to reclaim this analog seriousness if they want to survive today's market, which is crowded with noise, tech bubbles, and empty promises of effortless wealth. To replicate the structural success Buffett achieved as a teenager, you can implement 4 fundamental steps into your current financial routine. Create multiple sources of active cash flow. Have a high dedication core activity like Buffett's newspaper route to capitalize your account quickly. Migrate profit into passive income assets immediately. Don't let money sit idle, and don't inflate your lifestyle. Turn the surplus into assets that generate revenue without depending on your time, like the pinball machines. Use leverage intelligently. Team up with people who complement your technical weaknesses and split profits to grow exponentially. Ignore the opinions of those trapped in the traditional system. Do not anchor your financial decisions to advice from people who depend exclusively on a fixed salary and have no skin in the game in the real market. The aggressive consistency with which Buffett executed these 4 steps in his youth guaranteed that by the time he entered college, he was already light years ahead of any of his professors in terms of net worth, practical experience, and behavioral intelligence. Making more money than the adults around him provided Buffett with a unique psychological shield against anxiety about the future. He didn't feel the pressure of needing to graduate just to be someone in life. He was already someone in the business world. This peace of mind allowed him to approach university studies, and later, his mentor Benjamin Graham, not as obligations to secure a job, but as pure tools to refine his own analytical capacity. He studied because he wanted to optimize his decisions, not because he needed a diploma to hang on the wall. Early financial autonomy buys the freedom to think clearly in the long term, eliminating the fear of unemployment or the need for third-party approval that paralyzes most young professionals. Why is Buffett's story at age 16 so impactful and revolutionary? Because it demystifies the idea that to get rich, you need complex political connections, massive inheritances, or extraordinary luck on Wall Street. Young Warren's genius was purely behavioral. He was able to see value where others saw only mundane, tiring tasks. He had the discipline to wake up early, the intelligence to delegate roles, and the courage to reinvest everything he earned instead of spending it on fleeting pleasures. The secret that humiliated his teachers' salaries wasn't kept in school textbooks. It lay in his unwavering ability to control his own impulses, understand the human psychology of consumers, and put time to work for his pocket. The boy who at age 16 out-earned the schoolmasters proved that true wealth doesn't depend on where you study, but on how you decide to play the rules of the real market. The next time you catch yourself believing that you don't have enough capital to start investing or that you need a major, magical opportunity to change your life, remember the 16-year-old teenager who started with a broken $25 pinball machine and a few early morning newspaper routes. Ask yourself if you are focused on building assets or just complaining about the current system. If this episode expanded your view on how practical intelligence beats traditional titles, leave a like and comment below. 1946 Mindset. Don't forget to subscribe for episode 13, where we will unlock Warren Buffett's first major move in the large-scale stock market, where he used this exact same cash flow logic to buy his very first entire company. In the business world, those who look for excuses accumulate limits. Those who look for value accumulate freedom. Until the next story of value,